Thanks everyone for coming. I guess some people are still hungover with the lunch, so no problem. Just don't fall asleep. This is Agil, the founder of Praktis, and it's my pleasure to actually, host the session and have this conversation with Agil. Just for disclosure, we're also a lender to Agil. So,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Agil, I think we have already understood the kind of format, so maybe I'll let you go with your presentation, which will hopefully explain the context of our discussion subsequently to the audience. So over to you, Agil, please.
Thank you so much, Santanu. Thank you so much, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I think it's been an honor for me to be here. Thanks so much for his ventures, and thanks so much for Santanu for helping me arranging all the stuff. I think the discussion must be important because of your expertise, and thank you for your help as well. So just let me introduce quickly myself. I'm Agil. My name is Adrian Gilrandy, but it is proven that one of DBS boss is also Adrian, right? So it's better to have a different name. So you just can freely call me Agil. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Praktis. We are operating systems for direct to consumers and manufacturing in fashion and beauty industry in Indonesia. So I just want to make a very quick intro and background about the company. So we can make a lot of some time for more discussion discussion part. So this is the name of company, and so I think just a brief intro because I believe that 100% of the 95% of the audience don't know us, because we are here not to become famous. Famous is the thing that we're not looking for. But we are working in the back end side of the industry. So we are dealing with hundreds of direct to consumer brands through a platform, managing all the back end operations, starting from raw material sourcing, productions, logistics, distributions, because we know and we believe that all the direct to consumer brands has the core competencies in the marketing, branding, and the product design. So as we're kind of tech-enabled company, so we built 3 different platforms to cover and manage all the product and our service offerings. It starts with jual, simpan, and beli. So this is Indonesian words meaning sell, storage, and purchase. So the jual practice helping the brands to basically manage all the sales channel through integrations, omni-channel, offline and online, and marketplaces and web stores, and we also providing data analytics on top of it. The simpan practice one is basically helping them to manage all the inventory managements and fulfillment things. And one of the most important one is beli practice. This is basically the operating system for direct-to-consumer brands to managing the orders for purchasing the products, and also used by our manufacturing partners to operate them basically more efficiently. And one thing that I want to emphasize that we design our platforms to easily extend it to other industry, as we started this in the footwear industry, goes to apparel, and now already in beauty. So it's kind of one of our scalability planning in the future. So I think to make it compact, I want to share you a bit, just 1 minute video to give more understanding instead of hearing a lot of wording from me. So I think please share the video.
Ini Bayu, pemilik usaha yang punya produk potensial booming di market. Bayu selalu menjaga kualitas produknya. Awal jualan, semua pesanan bisa ditangani sendirian. Keluar masuk produk juga diurus sendirian. Waktunya tersita habis di penyimpanan barang. Hingga banyak pesanan konsumen telat datang. Efeknya, reputasi toko Bayu turun 3 bintang. Belum lagi telatnya urusan produksi yang kerap membuat Bayu emosi. Semua kendala seperti benang kusut dan bisa bikin bisnis Bayu terancam bangkrut. Tapi Bayu tetap optimis hingga akhirnya bertemu dengan Praktis. Dengan Praktis, Bayu menemukan banyak kemudahan untuk kembangkan usahanya. Praktis bantu sistem penyimpanan produk dengan pencatatan yang akurat, mengatur semua pesanan produk dari berbagai channel dan platform secara lengkap, memastikan pesanan cepat sampai dan aman ke tangan konsumen. Tim Praktis akan mendukung produk Bayu dengan data omset fair market hingga memahami keputusan pembelian kebutuhan produksi secara tepat. Dengan data tersebut, Praktis akan membantu mengoptimalkan proses produksi jadi lebih simpel dan efisien, sehingga Bayu dapat terus berinovasi dalam meluncurkan produk yang lebih sesuai dengan ekspektasi market, serta fokus menyusun branding dan strategi marketing yang lebih terencana. Didukung teknologi real time, Bayu dapat memantau kapan dan di mana saja. Jadilah seperti Bayu, ubah bisnismu secara drastis, jadi efisien bersama Praktis.
Okay, I'm sorry for the Indonesian language, but I hope that subtitle can work for some of you. First of all, thank you so much Bu Arini and Pak Triawan and also Pak Batara for attending this. It's been an honor for me for you attending this session, Bu, Pak. So just a quick additional explanation about our business, that because of the platform and our value propositions in the industry, we want to share a bit about some success stories in our ecosystem. For example, that we're helping brands. This brand names Fashion Today, but maybe some of you knows the founder is Alice Norin, is one of celebrity in Indonesia. We helped them to grow even more than 50x in the last 3 years. Why? Because she said to me that, Agil, there are a lot of celebrities like me that can sell everything very well and very fast, but we are the kind of people, cannot manage the business well. So the business like us, Praktis, can help them be very focused on their core competencies, which is basically in the branding side and marketing, selling the products very well, while we can help them ensuring the sales convert into revenue. Otherwise, the sales is just sales on the platform, but cannot be transformed into revenue. And the other success story also coming from a shoe brands named Brodo. We help them improving the working capital utilization through our platform, because based on our data in the fashion and beauty brands industry, 70 to 80% of your inventories are dead stock or low stock moving. Slow moving items because of poor management of assortment planning. So our technology helps them to understand which one of SKUs are selling well in the market. So those SKUs, those best-selling items must be stocked very frequently, while the others, the dead stock one, you have to stop producing. It seems simple if you're just dealing with 10 SKUs, for example, but if you manage business for thousands of SKUs, it's going to be very complicated if you've done it manually. And I think just a brief, what we are today is basically started 7-8 years ago, starting only 12 employees, and now we are already transformed to more than 350s because of the backup of our investors, very respectfully with backed by Is Ventures, Triputra Group, and also SMDV, and we are still aiming for the next growth plan at least 5 to 7x. Why? Because we have some kind of ammunition to grow, which we want to do kind of vertical integrations to make it all the supply chains is even smoother and simplified from the upstream to downstream. And we're also targeting not only Indonesian market, but also doing global. Now, fortunately, we already back Crown Prince of Brunei sport business for handling all of the merchandise and jersey. Yeah, so I think the last slide is I just want to emphasize because some fellow founders here, I think one of our key points of building the 7 up to 8 journeys is getting your investors, your shareholders right from the beginning, because I'm very blessing that with East Ventures, Triputra Group, and also SMDV that is very supportive, that can bring you to the next level. I just want to share, I don't want to blame one or another names, but typically, there are some potential investors that keep telling you keep telling you that please choose us because we can give you better valuation, for example. That's an indication, kind of bad investors. From my perspective, yeah, I don't want to say anything more about it, but I think Mr. Santanu can share more.
No, thanks a lot, Agil, for what you shared. Really impressive journey that you have traversed so far. And just to kind of carry on with the theme of the East Venture Summit event this time, that what's next. So I wanted to dial a bit backwards to understand that when you started, what was the category, and then as you have expanded into other categories, how did you decide and how do you select whether from you start from apparel, then go into footwear and all, and your journey, how do you decide on that?
Okay, thank you, Santanu. So I think my answer is not really exciting. I mean, sorry. Test, okay? Thank you. So we started 7-8 years ago in footwear industry, but I want to tell a bit background. So I was working in a corporations with my co-founders that deals with a lot of big manufacturers, typically in automotive industries. And we learned a lot from experts regarding how to manage the supply chain and manufacturing at scale. But when when I went to Bandung, I have a first-hand experience to meet all the players in the SME level, and I was very shocked because it's kind of a very huge difference compared to what I learned before in the corporations, big manufacturing system, to the shop floor level in the SME. Then it brings me to, I have to do something because what I learned right now is basically very valuable for them. That's why we built Praktis 7 years ago. But why footwear? Because nothing fancy on it, because just the first brand who can attracted by us is the footwear brand. It's just basically it. But we know that footwear industry is kind of limited, right? You have to be a business with the market size is quite sizable. So from the footwear industry, we gather more data, and we know that the consumption is basically bigger in the apparel side, but we don't go to other different typical of industry, because basically apparel industry is kind of similar process, similar customer base, so we can start the ground from there based on what we built in the footwear. So also after 4 or 5 years journey, then we know that I think we need to expand more the industry verticals, and we pick beauty because based on data, beauty customer segments basically have the similar behavior with customer segment in the fashion and apparel. And also, the trend is now going super significantly. So we want to ride the wave to enter that industry vertical as well.
Thank you. And when you are developing your technology, because it includes not only the buying side, which is the consumer side, but you also need to how to cater to the supply side. And in the supply side, potentially something in the beauty domain would be significantly different compared to a footwear and apparel, because you have product expiry, you have quality, etc., which is way more sensitive. So what technological adaptations did you have to do to your platform so that it was adaptable and it was scalable?
Okay, thanks for the question. I mean, it's a hard question. Let me think a bit, okay? Then, so basically this, if you want to if you want technology to help your operations, it has to be different type of operations, the depthness. I mean, we are building the technology not as broad as ERP level, that typically only managing your outputs, but we are also not building a system that very micromanaged, that building a specific for shop floor in garment industry, for example. We're kind of in the middle for managing kind of not so broad, but not so micro as well. So we keep thinking, you're correct that if we talk about the process, a very tiny process in the micro level, it would be super different compare the fashion apparel versus beauty, for example. But we can say that all the detailed process, just we call it process, for example. It's input, process, and output. That could be more kind of a lot of similarities. And it is also why we choose the industry is even though we are extending to other industries, but the industry similarity is still there. I mean, from footwear to apparel to the beauty, the similarities are there. We are not going to electronics, for example. That's very completely different.
Fair enough. Thank you. Now I may get into a little bit of your scale up. Like when you are doing business with enterprise as your customer, compared to that when you're doing with SME, how important is it that you have to supply the SME with working capital when you need to scale up? Because we see that there is quite a bit of working capital requirement. And on the enterprise side, again, there is a requirement because they would be typically, negotiating longer payment terms with you. So how important in the scale-up story is the platform or the technology versus the ability to supply these businesses with working capital?
I see. Okay, so first of all, I have to emphasize that, okay, that's true, that our story initiated by working with SMEs. 100% of the ecosystems consist of SME players, both the buying side and the selling side. But as I can speak then, to be honest, that to becoming very big, that you have to make those in balance. I mean, deal with SME is good because of their fragmented, technology can help a lot of it, but another downside of only focus on SME is the quality level is, typically SME are still lag behind, right? So if you do not balance the ecosystem with the big players, then you're gonna be just katak dalam tempurung. I don't know what it said in English, but because we thought that we're good enough, we're big, we're okay, but compared to the big one, because the big one has standards, they have volume, they have more complexity in managing everything. So we try to combine it. So one of our idea and one of our goal is how can we attract and bring the SME players going global or going bigger? Because a lot of mindset and mentality is different there. So that's the idea of making this ecosystem bigger. For the working capital side and financing is basically this. It's been a huge temptation for a platform like us to extend the business model to financing business model. To be honest, it's also a temptation for us. And we know that there are a lot of startups starting from platform and extending to the financing part. But we believe now in the founding team also understand that financing is different industry, it's different animal. And we have no expertise on that. That's why we need you. That's why we need you. That's why we are now engaged with financial institution, bankings and everything, because you have infrastructure, you have the expertise, you have the data. So what I'm trying to making a value add with you is basically we want to complement what you don't have. Like for example, in my platform, we have a lot of data that maybe banking cannot access. It will improve the KYC process, for example. You're just making a KYC through the financial statement, right? But we have a real-time, day-to-day selling report, for example. We know exactly how much money one brand, one company create day by day. What kind of product is basically making more contributions to the business, for example. But those kind of value that can bring together. We know that if we partners, there's always the trade-off. If we partners, that we need to share the profit, right? But I think to becoming very big, I think nobody can stand alone lah. Yeah.
Fair enough. No, I understand that. Maybe a flip of that question would be that if, suppose, you didn't have the financing proposition with a bank like us, would some of these SMEs walk away from using Praktis as a platform?
I see. I have to be very honest that there are some risks of it. I mean, there are some players that, because you don't give financing, then I will churn. Yeah, but I think for me it's just a noise. Yeah, if we're hearing that kind of inputs, I know that basically it's becoming a good input for us. But for me, if you are asking us to finance you and you are reluctant to be kind of do deal by the financial institutions, something goes wrong with your business. Because typically, those players who ask us to be finance are the one who has a bad reputations in the financial institutions. That's why they go to us, they go to some kind of platform that don't know exactly their track records. So for those risks, we've been better to, okay, yeah, no problem.
Good. Now, going into the next step, like, what do you see as the shape of the company or the form of the company uh, before it's kind of IPO ready? And maybe I'll also drop in a point on that, which is we see you have done some kind of acquisitions of some of these manufacturing capacities, because earlier they used to be your kind of clients, if you will. Now they are owned by you. So is that a natural direction where you are progressing? So these two questions are kind of linked, if you may take some time to.
Okay, so I think, so we're talking about a bit in the future, yeah? I mean, as for now that we know that one of our ambition is we want to create the best value creation to our shareholders, the ones who back up from the beginning, right? So I think the best ideal one and becoming our goal today is bring this company going for public. But for now, I think this is already the end of the era of cash burning business. So I think there are a lot of homeworks that we need to ensure before we are basically ready to becoming IPO-able or IPO ready. And those 2 points, I think the first one is regarding profitability. So before, everybody can say that, okay, we are tech companies, don't use metrics of kind of conventional business, but I think that idea and that argument is already obsolete. So now our main goal as today is we want to make comparables to, I don't mind if you said a conventional business or a traditional one, I don't mind, but that's the market that you have to understand in the future. Everybody will value your business according to the market, right? So this is the thing that we're trying to see a lot of comparables. How will be the value of our company in the next 3-5 years, for example? Not only dealing with, we are telling stories about we are tech, we are basically have the ability to get a better valuations or not. No, I think profitable must be kind of basically calculated, and the calculations must be based on market. And the second one is regarding the robustness and the quality of your balance sheet. I mean, if you want to become a kind of IPO-ready company, then you have to have a stronger balance sheet, robust balance sheet that typically, I'm not saying one and one, but typically, we are the startup players always forgot about this. We only keep thinking about getting more top line, getting more sales, but you forgot that your balance sheet is getting in trouble someday. Yeah. So I think those 2 main points from.
Sure, thank you. And the fact that you have done some acquisitions, is that a natural direction? Because that tends to slowly make the balance sheet a bit heavy.
Well, I think the idea of making vertical integrations and acquisitions is not only focused on we want to make up our balance sheet, no. But the idea of if, I want just telling a bit about the supply chain concept that I learned, that if you want, because our main value propositions is managing supply chain, right? And what Terry said that you can have an efficient supply chain if you can control end-to-end. And the problem is, when we're talking about supply chains, it's not in the company-wide. It's not on the company level. It's an industry level. That means a lot of companies consist of the structure of the supply chain. So it's been a very trouble if you cannot control it, because your value proposition, you want to make it optimal, right? So the idea of acquisitions is not for making a monopoly in our ecosystem, but we just want to create a success story. So I can keep telling others that, hey, manufacturer B, please make a differentiation. Because if you just stay forever like this, you can be disrupted by other players, some kind like that. So it's just an idea, a stepping stone for me to make a kind of model line so we can replicate to the industry even faster and bigger.
Great. So at this point, I guess we are left with a few minutes, so I would open it up. So if anybody in the audience has any questions, please feel free to raise it. Okay. Going once, twice, thrice. There are no questions. So thanks a lot, Agil. That
Thank you
was a
so
very
much.
nice discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank
Pleasure
you so much,
talking to
man.
you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot.
Thank
Thanks, His Venture.